Good morning. Welcome to Sativa Segment, episode 22. I am without my co-host, Dalton O'Neill, today. He called in sick, so it'll just be myself and my guest today. But before we get started, I'd like to say that this episode is fueled by Ritter Spencer Cheng. It's a local law firm that serves a variety of different industries, primarily in healthcare and alternative substances. If you want to learn a little bit more, go to ritterspencercheng.com and you can check out the website and see the services that's encompassing as part of the firm. Welcome, Kim.
Hi. Hello. How are you?
We have Kim Flores, aka the Hemp Housewife.
Yes.
That was a complete accident, wasn't it?
That was. We were talking about that before. Okay. A lot of people get in this industry because they've just been in it or they liked cannabis. And I did love cannabis, but it actually saved my life. And I went on the internet many years ago and was like, hey, y'all, I'm the Hemp Housewife. Let me tell you about a cannabinoid or terpenes. Like, really, what are those? Because those really are the magic of cannabis. And my tagline was Mama Needs a Minute. And then that turned into the beautiful brand that it has. And my background being in the beverage industry, wine and spirits, spent many years, 16 years doing that. It only makes sense now. I've come full circle back into beverages. And here I am today running a wholesale distribution and brokerage company specializing in hemp and cannabis beverages.
Yeah, so we have a lot to cover. Yeah. So let's talk about Hemp Housewife in a little bit. Let's talk about Mama Needs a Minute. But before we go down that trail, tell me about EleTex. And because my understanding is that you started EleTex just earlier this year. In fact, I think it's only maybe 2 or 3 months old.
Yes.
With your partner Rick. Right?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about EleTex and the distribution strategies behind it and what you distribute. Yeah,
so I'm probably going to back up and answer some questions you might have already. So if I do, I'm going to kind of back up a little bit. So earlier this year, I came on to Power Biofarms, doing business development for them. And I was going out and brokering a lot.
I've had them on the show.
All of their stuff. Yes, love those guys over there at Power. Brokering all of their brands. And that was after I went to Colt and was like, hey, let's work on a deal. Can you help produce my product? And so that's where you see the Mama Needs a Minute pre-rolls. And the success of those, Colt was like, hey, what will it take for you to come and kind of sell some of our other products? And we worked out a deal. And our agreement was always every couple of months, we're going to come and have those tough conversations about like, hey, what does the future hold? In the meantime, Powerhouse THC Seltzer came out, which was a collaboration with Martin House Brewery. And Colt had no idea that was going to unleash the beast in me. I love selling beverages. It's my background. I love it so much. I love on-premise, going and doing the events, talking to people about different spirits and wines. I just loved doing that back then. And now I get to do it with these beverages. I had the opportunity to sit in multiple calls with the president. We gave a tour of the president for the entire Texas beverage division of Benny Keith. He came and toured the farm. I mean, these people are seriously out here looking at getting into the beverage industry on the hemp and cannabis side. I've been on the call with the president, owner of Dynamo and Flood, and many other major distributors. And I would always ask them like, hey, so how long have you been in cannabis? Like, I've been in the industry, like for real have been in the industry. And now all these alcohol distributors and wine distributors are getting into it, and I welcome that, but at whose detriment? We want to make sure that the efficacy and the safety of the consumer is first and foremost. So I was asking a lot of questions. How long have you been in cannabis? How many of your current accounts that you service are consumable hemp license holders? And it was kind of astounding to hear, well, what is that? Do we need that? And I'm like, wow, these people are going out here picking up brands left and right. And a lot of these brands are signing exclusive deals, and they're really missing the mark because a lot of these mainstream alcohol distributors are not visiting the thousands of smoke shops and hemp retail shops, apothecary and wellness shops that have been selling these products since the go from 2018, whenever the Farm Bill was passed. Yeah. And it was kind of disheartening to see like, man, this is really going to be I don't want the beverage industry and the hemp industry to get a bad name with all the alcohol and liquor muddying up the water, in my opinion. And so I went to Rick, who I had met out here. Rick's been very successful. He owns a successful beverage company over in Carrollton called Lone Star Beverage. It's a wine and beer company. wine and beer package store. And they also have some convenience products. And he also has owned a smoke shop in Carrollton for the last 6 years. So he's had quite a bit of success. He's well known around Texas in the craft beer world. And craft beer is actually on the decline right now. So you're going to see a lot of beer guys getting into the cannabis industry.
Yeah, I have a stake in the cannabis beverage industry myself personally. And my understanding is that people are going to parties and different events, and instead of looking to alcohol, they're looking at alternative choices such as THC or
another blend with like CBD, and you're starting to see other blends, THCV. Like, we're going to start throwing out a lot of acronyms over here, people, but these are all great cannabinoids that you're going to start seeing more.
How did you get into the beverage industry? I don't think you ever told me.
So I'm from Amarillo, Texas.
I lived there for 2 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool. So I grew up there all my life. We've lived out here for about 10 years now. Out there, I worked for a little company y'all might have heard of, Republic National Distributing, or RNDC, and they're a very large company, y'all. I was their on-premise rep out there, and that's where I got my feet wet in the alcohol distribution and sales. And how I got into that was I was the Cabo Wabo tequila girl. I was Cabo Wabo Kim. I was promo model back in the day.
Right.
And from that is when I met all the executives that were over the West Texas area for RNDC, and Jimmy Velasquez, shout out. I just love him to death. He was my old director and still a great mentor of mine to this day. So he's been just loving the hell out of what I'm doing. He's like, this is so cool what you're doing now, girl. I just love it for you. But that's where I got into that industry. And then from there, I also created a company. It was called 11 Group Promotions, and we hired the promo models out to do all the events. So I had contracts with like Pernod Ricard, that they own Jameson and Absolute. And then they would have contracts with them. We'd staff those girls out, or men, that would be doing the tastings in the stores. And I did that for 8 years, had the company.
Wow, that can get really lucrative really fast.
Yes, it can be, but it's also a lot of people don't want to pay their bills on time. And it's just a thing. It's just, it is what it is. You do get paid, but it's like
you're not doing
promo people. No, I don't do that anymore currently. Yeah. I am. I don't want to talk about it too much, but I will very soon have I'll be able to staff the entire state of Texas for hemp beverage tastings. So I'm just going to put that right there. We'll end that one, but that's coming. I'm working on that right now, finalizing the details.
Do you know Brian Hart? He was on episode 19. On here.
So Brian came into our store, actually. He brought Vitum over.
Yeah. So it's a very different drink than yours. So we'll talk about your drink in a little bit, but when you said that, it just reminded me of him, and because he's doing a lot of these.
So I talked to him about that and what, like, my background and doing the events and promotions, and that is such a huge part. Like, when I'm talking to brands, I'm asking them specific things like, hey, do y'all have a budget for marketing support out here? If not, we need to start working that in, because not only is the marketing such a big deal, but I'm the Hemp Housewife. None of these other beverage distributors can say, hey, our owner has actually been in the cannabis industry. Our owner actually has a cannabis brand that you can buy here, there, and everywhere else that can be shipped out across the country. So I bring a lot of my knowledge in that. I also have quite a bit of a social media following. So I'm able to put a spotlight on your brands. And then if you have a shop, Richard, I can go in and say, hey, when you do business with the Hemp Housewife and EleTex, all these brands, immediately, I'm going to put you in front of 100,000 people.
Okay.
And they're like, what do we got to do?
So where are you distributing? Where's EleTex distributing?
EleTex,
just within Texas for right now?
We're distributing all over North Texas. That's mainly where our focus is right now, is North Texas, as we expand. Of course, we want to take statewide distribution. We just submitted to Total Wine to be approved to be a distributor with them. So we're waiting to get all that finalized. Cool. A lot of brands like, we want in Total Wine, and I want that for you too. I want that for you too. Every brand, I want that for you too. So we're working on being able to say, hey, we can potentially offer that to some of these brands that come in with us.
Now, did you get on the cover of MJ Biz Magazine? Let's talk about it. Because of EleTex, or is it because of Mama Needs a Minute? Okay,
it was. I'm not. Look, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I am for a minute. I want to just tell y'all, I don't know why I don't talk about being on the cover of MJ Biz Magazine.
It's kind of a big deal.
It is. It really is.
I mean, it's
worldwide.
I would say it's probably the largest cannabis publication out there.
So I
I think you were on there with Colt.
Yeah, I was
weren't
on there with Colt Power.
Yeah.
So I did a deal with MJ Biz last year where they did a Texas, they were spotlighting states and they had Texas meetup. And my friend Shada Tarabi, y'all know Restart CBD down in Austin, they asked her and I if we would be the host for the Texas meetup. And I believe that they're doing that again this year. I'm still talking to them about what that looks like. So I had that connection there and they follow me and see that I have my THCA pre-rolls that we sell. And they're like, hey, we're doing a story specifically on THCA hemp or just hemp in general.
Yeah.
You sell it. Can we interview you? And I'm like, yes, Colt, I need you in here because they're probably going to ask some very specific questions in regards to like growing and stuff that I'm not a grower. I might have worked at that farm, but I do not have a green thumb like that.
Okay.
So he's like, sure, let's do this. And in the middle of that interview, they asked, well, would y'all want to be on the cover? Hell yes, we want to be on the cover. MJ Biz, are you kidding me? And so they came out and shot the cover.
That's so cool.
If you saw it was the March, April issue. And one thing, why this is really such a huge deal. And
Can I get my autographed?
Yes, if you have it, I'd love it. Okay, full disclosure, MJ Biz, still waiting on my copy. So I've not got my copy of that.
Did he charge you a fee to be on the
No,
cover?
actually, and that is why I will not pay ever to be on your magazine cover,
Yeah.
or I'm not doing it. I get emails every day, and there's publications around here that are like, "Hey, I can get you on the cover for $3,000," and I'm like, "MJ Biz put me on the cover." And this went out worldwide, and I did not have to pay for that. And then even like speaking engagements, a lot of those, I get emailed, want to speak? Sure. Well, and then they turn around and be like, well, this is how much it's going to cost.
Yeah.
I didn't get in this industry to be a speaker. I got in this because it saved my life and I wanted to help people. And it just so happened I have a set of skills that would be beneficial to certain organizations. And that's what I'm out here doing is running business.
So let's go through the timeline. Cannabis saved your life.
Cannabis saved my life.
You were in Amarillo being in the business
Beverage
and doing
business,
the
yes.
Cabo Wabo
Tequila Kim.
Yeah, and then Cabo Wabo Tequila Kim turned into Hemp Housewife Kim.
Hemp Housewife Kim.
And developing Mama Needs a Minute.
And
we're going to come back to that because I do want to talk about that. And then recently launching EleTex Brands
because I saw a need.
Yeah.
Because the mainstream distributors are really missing the nuances and struggles that come with being in this industry.
Right. And so EleTex Brands is focused on Texas right now, and it's primarily focused on distributing cannabis infused beverages.
Yes, sir.
Or essentially hemp THC beverages.
Yeah, hemp THC. I mean, I've got one product in here we'll show in a minute that doesn't have any of that in it.
We'll go to beverages in a second, but I want to talk about Mama Needs a Minute. Okay, it's a pre-roll.
Yeah, I have a pre-roll.
Okay.
I have other things coming, but it was the pre-roll was what really kicked it off.
That's a great brand.
Thank you.
I love the brand Mama Needs a Minute. So Mama Needs a Minute is in Washington, but that's on the adult use market.
Yes.
Mama Needs a Minute hemp pre-rolls is also here.
Yes, and ships out across the country.
Okay.
And then we sell in retail shops as well.
Tell me what makes Mama Needs a Minute different from other pre-rolls.
What makes Mama Needs a Minute different from other pre-rolls, other than the name, yes, is I take a lot of pride and care in hand selecting my flower. I literally went through months of sampling. I would go in and buy product that was Power Biofarms in stores and just to spot check, right? Yeah. And then finally coming and honing in on what strains we want and what is the story about. Branding is everything. Really, you could have a shitty product and a great story and it will sell. I don't want to be like that. I don't want to give people a shitty product. I want to give them a good product, but also the story behind it is a real story. Mama Needs a Minute so much is about empowering women who no longer were going to accept the negative stigma placed on them who use cannabis for their overall health and wellness. I have positive affirmations on all of my packaging. You'll read that you're a bad bitch. No other pre-roll is going to get you pumped up being like, I am a bad bitch while I'm smoking this. Or I know so many times before I really learned and understood cannabis and respected it, I say, you got to respect the plant. And I didn't even respect myself at one point. So how was I going to respect this that I was putting in my body? After I learned to respect it, then I really started living and being out here to talk about it and tell people every day. And now in the beverage, teaching these restaurants, getting to do whole cocktail programs, it's just beyond my wildest dreams.
If it makes you into a bad bitch, what if I took it? Would it make me into a bad bitch?
Hey, we have many men message me and they're like, I just love feeling like I'm a bad bitch right now, smoking my gelato. Apparently will blast them off. I've had a lot of men say, little mama, that one in the green, I can't do that. So
I love the name. I think it's a great name. But tell me about the demographic you're really targeting. Is it primarily the female audience?
For Mama Needs a Minute, the Hemp Housewife, yes, it's primarily female. I mean, I could show you my analytics. 97% of my followers are women.
Okay.
And then I say those 3% that are men, they saw cleavage and followed me. Like that's the joke. Because it's all women, even around the world. And then I can even like narrow it down and say, for instance, we do some events over in Fort Worth. I can tell you as the person I'm doing the event for, hey, I have this many people that follow me in Fort Worth. So then we can kind of guesstimate how many people are going to actually see the content and maybe attend the event. So I have quite a following and it's really wild. It's all women and I love it. I love it for me. I love it for them. Yeah. I get messages every day from women will send me, they're like, just their traumas. And I'm so glad that I found you because I was just hiding in my garage smoking a joint. And you really have shown me that it's okay. Like you are the suburban mom out here like doing this and I appreciate it so much. I feel like at this point, I do it for every single woman that has messaged me saying thank you for what you're doing. And for them, if they cannot feel like they have the voice, I'll be that voice, and I'm loud.
I think it's fascinating how I've already interviewed a couple people on my show, and yourself included, where their products are. It's very targeted towards a very specific audience. That being either moms or females or stay-at-home moms or working people, right? Yeah. I had another episode where I had a guest that she made toners and different mists and different lotions that has CBD infused cannabinoids in there to where it's targeting women who want to go work out. And so I just find it fascinating how these different demographics are getting their own kind of branding and their own kind of siloed products within cannabis.
And one thing too about Mama Needs a Minute is actually a female owns Mama Needs a Minute. Like I am the Hemp Housewife behind that. There's quite a few brands out here that are very pink and purple and are owned by men. Yeah. And they're big brands. And a lot of people are like, whoa, that's owned by men. I'm like, yeah, you didn't know that. And it's like, I have a hard time supporting that when it's all they've done is taken something and turned it into pink and purple and it's all men owning it, but it's okay. This is again, an industry full of men. And I have been fortunate to find the right men that I have worked with. I found like the good ones. There's definitely some bad guys out here, but I feel like the guys that I have put myself around, we've all given of each other. We've all brought something to the table that would be beneficial for each other. It's never about taking. That's why I love the cannabis community so much is it's like, hey, I have this beverage. You've got a distribution. You want a beverage? Well, we can help make that and put it in ours. So now you have this great network where it's getting pushed out. And I hope that continues to stay.
Well, speaking of brands, let's talk about some of these brands.
Yeah. So
this is Can. And this is it the Happiest Hours?
So I'll kind of walk you through a couple. I just got a few examples.
Tell me about these brands.
Some of the brands that we have over at EleTex, and these are all available. You can email me, Kim@EleTexBrands.com. If you are a retailer and you're looking for cannabis beverages, I'm your girl. We've got Can. That one's a national brand. They're an OG in my opinion. Whenever it comes to cannabis beverages, their flavors are incredible. They do a really good job. They have 3 core flavors that they stick with always, and then they have a seasonal one that they'll come out with. Right now, their seasonal is pineapple jalapeno. It's delicious. They have 2 sizes, 8 ounce, and they have 12 ounce sleek cans. The 8 ounce cans are going to be 2 milligrams of THC and 4 milligrams of CBD. So it's a nice blend. The 12 ounce cans are going to be a 5 milligrams THC, 10 milligrams CBD.
Yeah, this one doesn't have any THC.
Yeah, so
this is just purely terpenes, right?
These are straight terpene shots. These are the Happiest Hour. And if you've been on TikTok or if you've heard of TikTok, you would have seen this on there. These are a #1 selling product on TikTok shop. Tiff, the face behind it, is they've got massive, I think 500,000 followers on TikTok. I've known Tiff for several years and I called her and asked, do you have any sort of distribution in Texas? And if not, is there a way to work together? And before I could even finish the sentence, she was like, absolutely. And I had a pallet in my warehouse. And these are approved in CBD American Shamans. And so any of those now out here, they can call and get these from us. I take these into a lot of my apothecaries, dispensaries, and immediately they're like, oh, that's from TikTok, we'll take it, because they know people love it.
The power of TikTok.
Yeah, the power of TikTok, really. And some people would say, oh, are you crazy bringing in a product from TikTok? And I said, well, I know the power of instant gratification. And if I can't get this in my hands today, I don't want it. And so these are a great addition to like where the 5-hour energies are in stores. Put them right next to them. They have different blends that you'll see. Intensify's got 15 milligrams of myrcene. They've got wake, calm, sleep. All of those are kind of self-explanatory. So when you put them right next to the 5-hour energy in your stores, people grab those because they see wake and they're like, oh, that's going to perk me up.
Who makes these?
These are made by, they're made out in Sparks, Nevada, and the family makes those.
Okay.
I don't know what the entire I can't think of it right off the top of my name what the entire big family operation is, but they are a 3rd generation beverage bottling, distribution, manufacturing family out of Nevada that created these.
What about those, the big ones down there?
Yeah, so this is dope. We are very excited to bring this out here. They come in 3 flavors, and you see these are like the bigger guys. These are 16 ounce. Yeah. Dope has been actually a sparkling CBD water in South Africa for the last 4 years. It's now, I believe, in 5 states, and we have been fortunate to be the ones to bring it to the North Texas market. And so we're hoping to get some really good traction with this one. They're just now getting into market, and we're going to be doing a lot of fun stuff with them. I've got accounts who've just started selling this 2 weeks ago, and they're like, hey, I'm out, I need a reorder. So it's already making some waves out there. And all of these would be great, not only in retail, but on premise. I've got a lot of cocktail accounts that just want the terpene shots because they're tasty, and they would be a good addition even if you were doing a vodka or tequila if you wanted to mix in those. So there's different ways and that you could mess around with the beverages. And so we distribute them all over North Texas. Yes.
Now.
Okay.
Tell me about the good stuff here.
Okay,
it's not vodka.
No, this is not vodka.
So, despite the fact that it says vodka, recognize it says zero.
Vodka 0, and basically 0 sugar, 0 calories, and 0 alcohol. This particular one, this bottle, total weight, this is 750 ml. I'm 750 milliliter, yes. So just think of it as like a bottle of vodka or a bottle of wine. The whole bottle is 125 milligrams. So I believe each 1 ounce pour is going to be 5 milligrams. And this is really for that person, I think that, hey, I don't want this, but I want to do my own mixology. This stuff's going to be great for them. I find that the non-alcoholic sector, so many people are going and buying a non-alcoholic tequila. I know I have some in that at my house, and they just miss the mark. I mean, really, yeah, we want to replace alcohol, but still so many people want to get that buzz, right? Yeah. And how do we achieve that? Well, this fella walked in and brought Powered by Plants. And when I first tasted it, I don't want to say it didn't taste like vodka, but it definitely gave me the idea like, oh, I feel like I just took a shot of alcohol.
Sure.
Some people want that feeling without that alcohol hangover, without the poison that alcohol is.
Now, are you seeing this being sold in liquor stores or anything?
We're about to find out.
Okay.
I know there's another beverage out on the market right now by I think Eighth Wonder put one out. And I know it's selling very well. I know it's selling very well. So I expect that to do the same, especially there's a little bit of a different thing going on from what those guys have. I've shown it on paper to liquor stores, and they're like, yeah, bring that by. So I know they're excited to see it. I'm just interested to see what's about to happen with it.
Because historically, liquor stores, they don't hold a consumable hemp license or any type of a permit. But if they're going to sell this, they will have to have
one. And that's where we do our due diligence. Again, go in and make sure, because they ask. Yeah. And I always say, hey, I live by the street. Snitches get stitches, but it would be in your best interest to have this document, whether or not you say nobody's going around and checking. Well, for everybody saying that, you just told me you know some people that got checked. I, too, know shops down in Austin that have had product pulled off the shelf. And right now, they are looking at these brands that are from Texas, wanting to know, well, this isn't legal. So y'all, they are checking. So I urge people to make sure that they have those.
I just have to throw out criticism though for DSHS out there because I had a client not too long ago. They got surveyed. It was an elderly gentleman who is semi-retired. I think I told you about this, and he actually told them that he received his training to do surveys that morning.
Oh yeah, friend. He
like
worked
earlier
4
today.
dishes, right?
Yeah. So he'll come in. They usually come in. They verify the things they need to verify, but he just got his training that day, which tells you that people are being impacted by enforcement agencies through third party or through individuals who may or may not have the adequate training, but then it places the business in a position to where now if there are any deficiencies that are found, they have to go through the process of fighting it.
Yeah.
Which that deficiency it could very well be a legitimate deficiency. But at the same time, you would think that someone who's undertrained, he or she may not recognize what is or is not a deficiency. Right off the bat.
Yeah, I would, if I had a shop and these people just started coming in and they're like, I just got trained an hour ago, I'd be terrified.
Yeah.
What do you suggest? Like, cause my business partner owns a shop. Whenever these people come in, like what do you tell your clients?
Yeah. So first of all,
what are they asking for, I guess, if you know?
Yeah. So the cannabis industry is still relatively young compared to other regulated industries.
Yeah.
It just is. It's still somewhat of a nascent industry, even though it's grown so much since when I got into it in late 2013. So I can't believe I've been in it for 11 years now. But it's one, like any other regulated industry, it would serve cannabis businesses to have a legitimate policies and procedures, have adequate compliance training. So when I say compliance training, meaning training your upper level staff to your middle to your lower, right? And sometimes depending on the size of the business, it may not be all that extensive to begin with because your business is relatively small. And just understanding what that survey process is and training your staff and educating them on that, and keeping a log of who has and hasn't been trained, so people get overlooked within organizations. And say 85% of your staff may be trained, but then the other 15 may be very ill prepared for anything. And so if they get questioned, or if they're going through a process where they're going through interactions with the enforcement agencies, they may not know what to say.
Yeah.
And they may not know what to do. So I would say establish some best practices, have a good compliance policies and procedures, do internal risk assessment checks, meaning do internal audits yourself and to understand what they're looking for, to see if you're finding the same thing before they come to your door.
Yeah.
And then obviously keep, doing the training and keeping a log of that training. I think one, not only are you more prepared, but also what you're really doing is you're building up credibility, because if they come in and you can verify that you've actually been training, you're making a good faith effort to train. I think that goes a long ways with state governmental agencies.
Oh, absolutely. And the training part is so important. Whenever I'm going out and visiting accounts, they're like, well, how is this legal? How can we sell this? And I'm always like, I'm not your lawyer, but here's some information for you. I try to advise them on, here's where you go to get these permits that you would need in the state. Education. I come in and do training on the staff. I host events. We're doing these right now in Fort Worth at Roy Pope. And Roy Pope is in the middle of a very prominent community in Fort Worth. And so it's been really cool to see that store sell the hell out of cannabis beverages. I mean, they are selling the hell out of them. And so I come in as the Hemp Housewife and we do elevated sip and socials. And so we have our next one this Thursday. And what we do is we have Cann's going to sponsor this week, and we're going to make cocktails with Can. And I'll have the Happiest Hour terpene shots out there, but it's an opportunity for people from the community to come in and get some education, ask questions. We had women coming in that have never even used a CBD cream, trying cannabis for the first time because they were drinking it. And that it's like bringing the community together and really getting people to see hey, this isn't scary. It doesn't have to always be about bong rips and flour. There's so many other ways that we can enjoy this plant that is beneficial for us. And drinking it right now this category is just starting. just starting. Like what you just showed, that vodka zero.
Yeah.
There's going to be shelves. I can already see it. It's going to be full stores, full of every mainstream brand will have cannabis something in their portfolio.
So as with EleTex Brands being a distributor for hemp beverages, what type of margins are you usually looking at in terms of what you buy versus what you sell to retail?
So I've actually that's a great question because it's one that's asked quite a bit. And I've had my business partner has been the one that's guided us on that because he does own a store. So we look at what their margins are. So a lot of these retailers are looking for like a 30% or 300% markup. So we kind of start going backwards from there. Once we've realized what our costs are, then we can go and see, well, the market is doing this and maybe you need to fluctuate your price. Where can we do that with your brand, Richard? We've had some great conversations here in the last few weeks where we've actually talked to people coming down on their price. So it's like, hey, 5 milligrams, that's going to be hard to sell when people are now wanting these much higher doses with like that 250. I'm seeing some drinks, even 12 ounces are going to be 50 milligrams. Trying to educate them like, hey, this isn't vodka. This isn't wine. 5 milligram of THC and 10 milligrams of THC, there's a price difference.
Yeah.
And there could be quite a big price difference from a 10 milligram versus a 50 milligram. You see a 50 milligram 12 ounce can going for $19.99 for one single can.
Jeez.
You can't price a 5 milligram at that price. It's just not going to sell. So the margins trying to look at around 25 to 30% and then kind of work
for the distributor.
For the distributor as well. Yeah, we want to work out those deals. We had a brand that's doing exceptionally well. Very, very well out here, who is asking us if we could do distribution for them in Tarrant County. And so we're working on that right now. Well, 2 weeks ago, he gave me the price and I said, sir, we cannot sell that. Okay. And if you're selling it at that, wow, like let's not mess up the market as far as the numbers are concerned. And so they came back this week with much better pricing because they want to work with us. Yeah. They want to work with us because they see like, oh, okay, she clearly isn't just going out here and dumping product. My sales pitch is not an email telling you, hey, we have all these THC products and we're going to mix and match them. And for every case you buy, I'm going to give you $1 off or $5 off. That's not my sales pitch because I actually care about the efficacy and the safety of the consumer and what these brands are doing in the market.
So had you taken that higher price from his original, what it sounds like he proposed a higher price.
Yeah.
He came down. What type of margins were you looking at then?
Because it would have been like, it was the same margins, but the way it was priced out would have not. I'm like, you just need to go straight to consumer. Like doing this B2B route. That's the problem. Some of these brands want to get in distribution, but they did not set up their pricing for that. They set up their pricing to be straight to retail, straight to consumer. They didn't think about the distro pricing. So now some of them are having to go back and reevaluate because you really need like 3 tiers.
Yeah, which tells me they're probably going back to say how much it costs for them to make per can, right? So they may have to make some adjustments on their formulation and their products.
Potentially. Or they're realizing like, oh, maybe I'm being greedy. So
or that, right? Yeah, or they're finding some other administrative cost wasting to shave off. So let's talk about pricing and profit margins with your beverages compared to Mama Needs a Minute. What type of numbers are we looking at with pre-rolls in that industry? Not necessarily your products.
So flour is different. So I did broker flour. I know there might have been some confusion that I still do that. And the only flour I mess with is anything that will have my label on it. I still have a lot of accounts that want flour. I send them to my people that I know and be like, hey, call so-and-so. And there's very few people on that list that I'm recommending people to. And that, again, doing my due diligence, going out and making sure that I'm actually getting people quality product. But with that is so different. The hemp market, and for those that are just hearing this and not seeing I'm using air quotes, I feel like the prices are kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Inflated. Okay. I've seen a pound of an exotic flower for $2,200, my cost.
Wow.
So I've got to turn around now and figure out my margins on that. What am I trying to make? Well, now I'm going to turn around and have to sell this $2,200 pound of this exotic flower, and I'm going to have to inflate the price to my consumer.
But why do you have to buy that particular?
It doesn't have to be that particular one. I'm just putting it as an example of there's $2,200 hemp that's exotic, and then there is $600 hemp.
Okay.
There's a big difference in the quality there. So it's like figuring out where's my middle ground. And I also need to know my customer. I don't want my customer to pay $20 for a pre-roll. So I need to make sure I'm finding some quality flower, whole plant, no shake or trim, that I can sell at around $12.50 retail.
Okay.
So then I've got to go back and start. I don't want to get too much into the numbers like on air because everybody has their like rhyme and reason. But I want to be able to keep it around that.
Sure.
I go into a store and I've seen a couple of accounts have my pre-roll for $15, $16. And I'm like, absolutely not. That is not, no, we're not doing that. Like I'll put it into it immediately because you can go online and buy it for $12.50 as well. There's no reason for you to be up in the price. And I will put a stop to that.
So what is what is the difference between, let's say, a 2200 versus like a 600? I mean, the quality on the back end for the consumer. What is the difference on that?
I would say a lot of it is one you're looking at, is it grown indoors, outdoors? What's the light depth? The light depth is everything. That will change the price, like from a $600 pound to a $1,800 pound. It all depends on the light depth and the grade. I don't have the magic potion to say what do I feel like the $2,200 exotics are worth $2,200? No, I do not.
That's what I'm really asking.
No, they're not. And yeah, people probably be mad that I said that, but I'll go on record and be like, we do not need $2,200 pounds of hemp. THCA hemp out here, because then it confuses the consumer when they go in and they're like, okay, well, this strain, I'm not going to say strains because I don't want to be targeting a strain. Well, this strain, this kush over here and this kush are being sold under the same label, but why is this one more expensive? And it's all because you still have same strains, but they can pull different cannabinoids, terpenes, and the percentage of THC. And
depending on how it's grown.
Yes. So my gelato last month, when I get a new batch in, it might be a little different. They're not always going to be the same.
Okay. And I think we briefly talked about this, but you used to broker flour and biomass with hemp. Do you still do that?
Not in the sense to where I'm getting actually paid for it now, because I'm all in on the beverages, And I love flour. If y'all have flour and want me to sample it, I'm your girl. Just send me an email and I'll tell you where to send it. But I found, again, a lot of this is just overpriced.
Okay.
And also being out in the market, and I will say, if you are a retailer and your entire bud bar, that's something you're seeing a lot of, and I think the state of Texas does not like those, but they're everywhere. You're not going to get rid of them. It's a cool concept. I love going in and seeing a bud bar, but immediately know when they say, oh, this is all from Oklahoma. Immediately know. So that's not a flex. So it's all asking where you're getting your product from. And the majority, if they say Oklahoma, you're going to hear a lot of California, Oregon. A lot of the THCA is coming from Oregon. Nobody in Texas, I believe, can legally grow THCA. I'm not no attorney, but from my understanding, nobody in Texas is actually growing THCA.
I don't know of anybody that's actually doing it. Yeah. But I'm certainly not going to give legal advice on there either.
No. I wasn't asking for legal advice, but I was just like saying, like, from my understanding, they haven't been able to because it comes back too hot.
Yeah, I don't know too many people it's actually doing that.
Yeah, I don't. Like, I honestly, of all the people I go through and get flour from, I can't think of any of them that are actually growing it here.
So where do you see this market going? How are you seeing this market evolving moving forward?
That's a great question. There's a few ways to answer that. One, I will say beverages are here. They're not going away. If anything, you're going to see it get even more. You're going to start seeing a lot of blends. You're already kind of seeing that. I've got a couple of them up here where it's not just THC anymore because people are understanding that the other cannabinoids are great for us as well. So I see a lot of beverages are going to be going into blends. You're going to see more of what I just showed a while ago, where it's going to be in the 750 ml, where it's really like you have a bottle, you can pour it like it's a glass of wine, ready to drink cocktails. I would say as the flower goes, I feel like right now here in Texas, I feel like everybody's kind of getting their stuff from the same sources. The majority of them are. And until some legislation changes, you're going to be getting kind of the same quality of product around. It's going to be hit and miss. I've heard people saying that some of the strains they're getting in aren't as consistent as others. So that's whenever we have to sit down and see what's going on here. There's an issue. How do we keep, I'm just trying to figure out how to say this without sounding away.
I feel like the evolution of the industry is very geographical too.
Yes.
What goes on in, say, New York or in Oregon, and how it evolves and how it mutates over time is maybe very different than here in the South, because you have different demographics and you have different attitude towards this industry.
Yeah.
I just find it interesting to see this industry change. Being in the Deep South, well, Texas isn't really the Deep South, but you know what I'm saying. It's in the South, and then you have this entire part of the country, like your Tennessees, Mississippis, Louisianas, Alabamas, where they definitely do have a market.
Yeah, the market is here.
Yeah, but it's very different than other places, right? And so I wasn't really sure how you felt about it, but I feel like we're changing in a very different way.
I agree. I feel like how Texas has done stuff where we've almost kind of made our own rules. Excuse me. The way that it's going, we've got to get more really tie in and get the legislation tied down. It's not going away. I don't feel at all that it's going away. If anything, there's going to be more, especially with the more the legislation opens up. I think it'll be federally legal before Texas gets their shit together.
It probably will.
Yeah.
It probably will have some form of federal legalization before Texas will. But I just find it interesting that you said that most of the stuff that you're, most of the source is coming from California and Oregon. In your hypothetical with the
in my realm, the majority
why not
of everybody,
Texas, right?
Exactly.
Why not
That's
Texas?
because again, it goes back to they have not been able to grow it here. They're having to outsource it.
Yeah.
And I know that from firsthand. Like, I'm not claiming by no means that my Mama Needs a Permanent product is from Texas. That was never anything that I was claiming. Yeah. I'm from Texas.
Right.
So,
well, do you have any last minute message for the audience that's listening? Particularly how you've really just kind of grown your business over time. Only 4 years into the industry.
Yes. Not even 18 months after I went on the internet, 10 months after I went on the internet, was like, hey, y'all, I'm the Hemp Housewife. Is when I got my first brand and licensing deal for Mama Needs a Minute. And that was out in Washington State. And it has been just an uphill from there, but really figuring out what am I good at and putting my efforts into that. And I know I'm great at sales. I'm a beast at sales, but I love the beverage industry so much. And so just coming back again, full circle into beverages, it just makes so much sense. People that know me on a personal level are like, of course you're doing cannabis beverages. Of course you would be. So, but to anybody listening out there, I just want to say on a personal note and a level, like, believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. The mind is a killer of all dreams. You can really get in your head. And, I've had to sit in my feelings and in my thoughts and have imposter syndrome. When you say I'm on MJ Biz Magazine cover, I feel like really an imposter of it, but it's really...
No, it's real.
It really happened, y'all. Like, that's
it's
me
real.
on there. But just believe in yourself and have the confidence to go out there and do what you're doing. Because if I would have allowed all the negative comments that have been given to me, I've even, developing a beverage myself, the amount of people that have said, well, we don't need another of this, or we don't want that. Well, I didn't ask you. And if you don't like that, then you can go and develop this and get in this industry if you want to. But I just believe in yourself, go out there. Don't let anybody make you feel like you're a less than and that you can't accomplish your dreams. Because I'm living that right now, that I'm accomplishing and living my dreams every day. And it is thanks to cannabis.
Well, I've really enjoyed getting to know you over the years. I know we've crossed paths at Dallas Startup Week, and obviously when I saw you on the cover of MJ Biz, that was a big deal.
Like, who is she?
Yeah, well, Yeah. No, I thought that was a wonderful, wonderful story. And I'm just really glad that you found time to come on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Thanks a lot, Kim.
Thank you.